work on today? Well, this cutie little cabinet is going to be adding some beautiful brand new decoupage paper. Now here's the deal. You guys know I'm Canadian. Decoupage, decoupage, tomato, tomato. I get the beats all the time because I say words differently than everybody else. So when I say decoupage, just know I mean decoupage, because I'm never going to say a decoupage. I'm always going to say a decoupage because it's just the way that it flies out of my mouth. So you know what I'm talking about. But this is a brand new paper from the Bells and Whistles line. This is called Lovely Sonnet, and we're going to be adding it to these interior panels today. I'm going to show you how I mark and cut my paper, and we're going to stick it on, and we're going to make something beautiful. Now, I have one more handy dandy tip for you today. You need to check in the description. It's either above or below my head right now on this video, on this live video. It's going to tell you to come over and follow us at the Bells and Whistles page. On the Bells and Whistles page, you are going to be able to see all the Bells and Whistles products. That includes papers, stencils, includes Terra and brushes. It's going to include the Dixie Shine and all the brand new products. So if you head on over there, you're going to be able to follow along and check it out. Okay, so go follow that page. I did put it in the blurb. The blurb is either above or below my head. I can't remember which way, but you'll see there's a link to my page, Top Drawer RVA, and there's a link to the Bells and Whistles page. Come join me. I'm going to show you every day all these brand new products being used. So let's open it up. So I have one here, and I'm going to show you the entire thing. Now here's the deal. This is my favorite. This is my favorite out of all the new papers, which is why I'm using it first. And you get to see it here first before anybody else does. So this is a large paper. Can you see how large this paper is? Humongous, right? I'm going to turn it sideways so I can get the whole image onto the camera. Dun, dun, dun. There's words, there's florals, there's faded design. It looks like a gorgeous piece of old wallpaper, doesn't it? Look how beautiful. So gorgeous. Now this paper is a little bit different than the paper you're used to. This is more like a tissue paper. Doesn't mean that you can't rip it the same as you would rice paper. It just means that it doesn't contain those fibers into the paper, which for most of you is probably a good thing because a lot of people didn't like the fibers that were in the rice paper. So this paper is a little bit different than what you're used to. The larger size, the bigger image, the fact that it doesn't have those little teeny tiny rice flecks in it. You can see the back. It's more of a smooth look. Now, when you wet this paper, because I'm going to show you a corner, okay? When you wet this paper, some people like to wet the paper and tear the paper. This paper is pretty sturdy. It's going to rip like tissue paper, but you still have the ability to cut it up and apply it where you want to put it. You can do whatever you want with it, and we're going to put it on the front of these panels today, all right? So where am I going to put it? Well, I catch you up on the colors on this piece. This is a cutie little cabinet. Like I said, it's on a second round of colors. The first choice of colors that I did were way too pink, way too pink. So for the second choice of colors, I did 3 colors. Can you guess what I did? Guesses? Guesses? Type them in the comments below. I want to see if you can guess the colors that I used before I tell you what I used. Don't count these panels because you can still see that pink peeking through. What do you see on here? Anybody want to tell me? So obviously you can see apricot. Again, apricot is one of those words. You're going to hear me say it the Canadian way. Apricot, apricot, potato, potato, decoupage, decoupage. It's all the same thing. This is the main color of this piece today, okay? That's what you're seeing here mainly on the body. Can you guess what I put down here on the bottom? Anyone? Anyone? Flamingo? Nice guess, but that is not it. I actually used terracotta. Terracotta is this gorgeous orange color. So I did terracotta into that beautiful apricot, and then at the very top, believe it or not, one more color. Anybody? Guesses? I did lemonade. So it's hard to see 3 of those colors when you blend them together with the Best Dang brush. But I wanted this project to be dry, which is why we're not doing painting today. We're just going to do decoupage, decoupage, and we're going to put that paper on there, okay? Along with that beautiful color pattern that I did on here, I actually pulled it back with a little bit of water. So some of this pink, which was originally like a tea rose color and some plum crazy, peeks through. You can still see some of the original color underneath, and I like that. I want this piece to look worn out and gorgeous. So I'm going to bring you in nice and close so that you all can see what I'm up to today. Remember, mind the puppies and the workers inside and outside. I have staff here working, putting new doors on, and working on the exterior of my house. Okay, so if you were a baby beginner and you've never put any kind of paper on your piece before, you need to know that your piece needs to be dry, okay? You have a couple of different options for applying the sealant that you're going to use for your piece. My personal favorite is going to be clear coat and satin, okay? Clear coat and satin, clear coat and flat, or clear coat and gloss. It's up to you what you decide you want to use to stick this paper on your project. Okay, so you might be looking at this giant paper and going, oh my goodness, how do you cut this? What do you do? Because this is a tiny space, right? This little spot down here. Well, if you look really closely at this paper, there actually are words on this paper. Can you see how beautiful those words are? They go in this direction, right? You start at the top and you would read downwards. You have a couple of different ways to decide how you're going to put this paper on your piece. Do you want to use like the heavy florals here on the front? Because I base the colors on this piece kind of around the colors that you would see on your paper. We talk about this a lot, where choosing the colors for your project can be, you know, driven from maybe a paper, maybe a transfer, maybe a pillow, maybe a napkin, whatever it is that you find that you love the color. So you have to decide, what do you want to do? Where do you want to start? I mean, I love this faded out light bit of the paper. This is going to be really pretty on a bigger piece, like on a big dresser. I just haven't found the perfect piece for it yet. So I thought I would put it on this little piece. So you could use this kind of like faded out floral design. I could go into the middle and do it like this, or I could completely start at the top, which is like that bright floral. What do we think? What are your thoughts? Should I do the bright floral at the top right here in the front, or should I go more faded? Because this little table actually is kind of neat. Let me show you if I can move this paper out of the way. Hot Mess Express over here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels, and this one being the biggest. Now this table is kind of like a weird oval shape, right? So it's like I want to do the whole thing all the way around, because what if somebody wants to put this in a space where they would see the whole entire table? So should I do, you think I should do the bright? Somebody else is saying the faded. Come on. Couple more, y'all. I'll have to have opinions. Like, I feel like I should go bold or go home, right? So here's the other thing about this paper. Since I'm cutting it up, it doesn't matter if it doesn't match. Do you catch my drift? Like, I don't mind if I start on the side and pull this image over. I don't mind if I start in the middle and pull this image over. It makes absolutely no difference to me, because you're not going to tell that the words are going to not match up per se because of the space of here, right? So let's just, for easy purposes, because I've got everything on the floor, I'm going to start down here. Let's start with the brights, okay? So I have a little screw in here to help me open and close this door. Let's see if I can kind of push it down a little bit. I'm worried I'm going to rip my paper, but it's pretty darn stuck. So the answer is no. The answer is no. Let's see. Faded in the front, bigger floral in the back. I don't know, people. I don't know. The good thing is that I have two. So my next project will probably be done in this as well, because it is stunningly beautiful. It's really pretty. If you want to know the size, exact size of this paper, it is 22.83 inches by 33.3 inches, okay? For you Canadians watching, that's 58 centimeters by 84 centimeters, all right? So it is a bigger size paper. It's definitely large and in charge. I'm loving the colors on it, so you're gonna see it quite a bit probably for the next few weeks. Let's just start over here. So, okay, back to basics, right? Back to basics. How would you put this paper on here? Would you measure and then cut? Would you trace it with the paper and a pencil? Would you use your fingernail to score the paper? There's multiple different ways to do this, and no way is wrong, because I think once I get the paper on, I might actually fade in some of this apricot just around the edges to soften it some. Because I think I want to do maybe the brand new Dixie Shine in gold on these raised panels. Decisions, right? All right, well, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is the easiest way for me to do it. If I use a pencil, I might rip the paper, because I'm pretty rough and tumble in general. I'm not very gentle, and I worry that I might rip the paper. So let's do this. I'm going to line it up so that the top part of my paper, because there is a white line on this paper. This is just one of the actual sample pieces. Yours won't have such a big white line on it. It'll be a lot smaller. I'm going to use my finger to score, which means just gently rub exactly this weird shape, right? Without cutting. I'm not cutting. I'm just rubbing. I'm just rubbing my edge of my fingernail in, because when I actually pull this paper off, what's going to be left is an indent, right? I'm going to be left with the indent of this gorgeous piece of paper, okay? So there is my score, if you catch my drift, my score of my paper. So I'm going to lay it down gently and try not get stuff all over it. Let's move the beautiful satin clear coat out of the way. And I'm going to gently go in. Now, because this paper is going on a inset panel, right? The panel is inset. If it was coming out, I could easily sand around the edges of my paper. But because I want to work with what I've got on the inset, I'm going to cut this paper exactly to size. So that means I'm going to cut exactly on the scored section. And if I mess up, y'all, I've got lots of this paper to continue the process. Because no project is perfect for me. I always seem to have like a oops somewhere. Just like when with this piece of paper, I actually already painted this project once and didn't like the color. Dun, dun, dun. So here we go. We have one line cut. I'm just going to double check my measurement and make sure that I've got the second line set in. So I'm going to put it here. So this is the line that I cut. There's my scored line. This will be my base line. It comes up. So I'm just doing a quick little double check. And I'm going to continue to cut my paper. So when you do your decoupage or decoupage, how do you like to attach it? Do you like to place it on, score it, and then cut it? Do you like to place it on, sand the edges after it's dry? I really do like to sand the edges after it's dry on the edge of things. But when it's a piece like this, I like to just score it and cut it. Okay, so let's check. Did this work? Did this not work? This did work. I'm going to just measure. It's going to come up like this. So what do we think? Do you like that? It's kind of like a little bit of a rainbow-ish color. Now here's the thing. This should be the same size over here, right? So why don't I make life a little bit easier by cutting the same piece of paper twice? Rather than like laying it out and scoring it again, let's just do that. Let's take the same piece of paper. It's going to be the other way, right? And I'm going to cut this paper. Push you back. You can hang out with me and watch. So I have my puppy dog on the floor. I have somebody painting the outside of my house. I have somebody painting. Actually, I don't think they're painting. I think they're just putting the new door in today. My house is not young. She be a little bit old. She's just like me. Actually, I think my house is the same age as me. So she needs some updates every so often, just like me. you need to keep it up, right? You need to keep your house looking nice and fresh. So I am having a lot of work done on my house this week. And I couldn't really plan my life around when Cruz could be here, or rain, or sun. So like I said, if it's a little bit noisy, it's okay, bear with me. Just making my house pretty at the same time as making furniture pretty. I'm gonna cut straight up on the line. Make sure I've got this lined up nicely. This one looks like I cut a little bit wider. Let's go back to the thinner panel. And then when I get up here, I'm gonna go like this. We're gonna cut this. If I miss your questions or comments while I'm chatting to myself, I will come back in after my video is finished and rewatch to make sure I didn't miss anything important. Okay, so now we have this beautiful paper, right here. Let's talk about how we're gonna stick it on our piece. Obviously one at a time. Let me move this paper out of the way. And we're gonna start here. All right, so we have one piece of paper to go on my piece. I've got my satin clear coat and I've got a brush on the floor. This is just a regular chip brush. I'm gonna dip into my clear coat and I'm going to apply this clear coat everywhere where I want the paper to stick. Remember, it's clear. When it dries, nobody's gonna see the edge. I don't care if I go over the edge or not, right? Then I'm gonna line up my paper. There's hair on me. There's a couple ways you could do this. You can start at the top, you can start at the bottom. These papers are pretty strong, like you're able to like pick them up and kind of move them around, if that makes sense. So like if you put it down and go, oh, I've made a mistake, I don't like it. You can start again, pick it up, and smooth it out. So here's my paper. It's not stuck on there yet, right? Like it's just sitting on there. I'm gonna go in with my clear coat, and I like to kind of start in the middle and brush my clear coat out. I do this a little bit heavy-handed, people. Like it's not a little bit of clear coat, it's a lot. You can use a brayer if you want, which is that tool with the small little roller to roll out any marks or wrinkles. I actually don't mind wrinkles on my decoupage because I think it looks a little bit more, I don't know, like a faded wallpaper. So there you go, one piece is already up. It looks a little bit bright, right? Hey, Teresa, don't worry. I'm gonna take my apricot, or apricot, however you like to say it, and kind of blend it in. But for now, let's do the second side. So I'm gonna go back in with my brush. I'm gonna brush on this clear coat, and I'm gonna put on the other side. If you're tuning in just now, this is the brand new paper that is available from the Bells and Whistles line, and it is called the Lovely Sonnet. It is a gorgeous paper that has a lot of beautiful faded words on it and a gorgeous look. So I'm going to line this up, yikes, the best that I can. I might have cut this maybe a bit too small on the bottom. Let's see. Come up, there you are. Nope, you're fine. I just need to bend this around the edge. There is like a tiny little piece right here. I think like I said, I'm going to paint this in, so I don't even care. I'm going to see it and then I'm going to make it disappear. Hey Stella, you going to say hi to the crew? My puppy dogs are very bothered by the amount of workers that are at my house this week. They're not enjoying themselves having strangers come in and out and bang on the walls. Little do they know, they're making my house pretty, right? They're just working, Stella, like the mama. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure my edges are kind of like pushed down. And that, my friends, is on. That's pretty. Do you like it? I feel like I should bring you in even lower. Should we lower the actual camera so that you guys get a better view? This could be a jiggly joggly wild ride, but hey, you're all gonna learn something today. Let's lower this camera down a tiny bit and bring you in a touch closer. So pretty. How much do you love the peach? Peach, gold, oh my gosh, it's a match made in heaven. So let's turn this little cabinet and push these wrinkles out. I see one more wrinkle with the light. Stay down. There you are. The brayer that I talked about, the tool, you can order them off Amazon. I have one mostly for larger size paper. The smaller paper, I can usually push all the bubbles out with my fingers. I don't have a problem. Let's work on this curved surface. Okay, so now I'm going to take my paper, the Lovely Sonnet. I'm going to move my clear coat so I don't ruin my paper. Let's see. I think I will put one rose. How big is this? One rose here. Okay, maybe I should do the big piece first, right? Or should I just paint that? Decisions. Let's see. I mean, I could just paint it and then do the other side like that, because I used the skinny part on there. I'll just keep working with what we got. Let's cut this in half first of all, make my life a little bit more easy, since I know I'm going to be going straight across this way and the paper is going to fit the same panel straight across, right? Okay, so we're going to take this off, push this over here, go back to this little panel. So we have this curved surface, right? Let's line it up and score my paper again. Trying to hold it so that I can see. I don't think that these are actual true rectangles. Does that make sense? Like this actual shape. I feel like the shape itself is kind of a bit uneven. I don't think it's a perfect rectangle. But we'll make it as close as we can. Okay, so now that I've scored my paper, what the heck, now I can't see where it was. I have too many lines on my paper. Do you know you can iron this paper? I'm not gonna iron it. I don't even iron my clothes. So I'm not gonna be ironing any paper. Okay, here we are. Maybe I will use my pencil on this part because I need to see my line. Where did we put it? There it is. So many lines going on my business here. Let me make sure that I get it covered. Again with the score up here. There we are. Now I can see. Now I can see, look, I had a fold line and I was like, which line is which? I don't know. So now we're going to cut up the pencil line and the score line. I love these colors on this piece. It's so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to cut straight up. Keep going. Now, here's the question about fitting top to bottom. Why does this line should be straight, right? Like it really should, because that's straight and that's straight. Yeah, so when I bent it, it looked like it was curved, but it's not curved, it's straight. Let's cut it straight, and then if I need to curve it, I can. Once again, talking myself through the process. Nothing new around here about that. Touch that there and measure it up. So, since I'm going to be painting the lines in, I don't care if it's a little bit over the edge. It looks like it might be a tiny touch, smaller. There we go. Okay, so here's my little panel of paper. Look at how cute, so cute. It's adorable, right? So, we do the same thing. We're going to take our clear coat in satin. I'm going to run it around the entire section of where I'm going to lay this paper down. Now this is a curved surface. I feel like I want to start in the middle and push it out, but I might have to actually start on the side because I want the edges to be lined up, right? What would you do? Would you start on the side? I like the middle line better, not gonna lie. But it is what it is. It's already down. Let's work with it. So I've got my clear coat. I like to just start in the middle and push it out. I'm going to push down that crease and push outwards to get those bubbles gone. Now here's the deal. There's a lot of other people out there that are way better at decoupage than me. Doesn't mean that I like it any less. It's just not my perfect forte. Like you see me walking it through. It's exactly how I do it at home. Walking it through, figuring it out as we go along. Which is why I think I'm a good teacher, because y'all get to see and work with all the same questions that I'm asking. I'm going to pull this out and just kind of put a little bit more satin on the edge. I feel like it needs to be just a little bit more sticky. There we go. Now she's sticking. I also am not like, I haven't done a lot of papers that are really big. So when you see me like figuring it out, I really am figuring it out. I like to usually blend in the edges and paint my papers in, but I'm working on these panels, so we'll see if I decide to do that or not. I might have to wait till it's more dry. Cute, cute, loving that rose. Push those air bubbles out. If you also had a pin, you could poke a hole in your paper and push the air bubbles out that way. But I will usually put this on with one coat and then let it get dry and then continue on and do like another coat as I go along. What do we think? Cuteness? Super cute, right? Let's look at the front again. Adorable. Adorable. What would you call the style of this table? I mean, it's got a lot of ornate little details. I just don't know, I don't know what style color it is. Let's do the other side while we have it sitting right here. Ah, darn it. I should have cut both at the same time, right? Like I really should have just flipped that over and cut this paper to fit at the exact same time, because that would have been the easy way to do things, but that's what happens when you talk all the time. You forget. So now I have to score this one out too. Let's get that pencil. It's more helpful with the pencil. If you push really hard, you're actually able to like rip the paper to get it where you need it to go. Oh, saved by the bell. Look how close, look how like literal edge perfect this is to this piece. This could not have been a more perfect fit. Like seriously. That is as close as you're gonna get. Look how close to the edge I am. And it's gonna fit perfectly. That's hilarious. That's fate, people. Fate. So I'm gonna cut up my line. and across my line at the top as well. There we go. There we go. Look at that cutie paper. I actually really like this flower. I like the color of this paper. I think it's going to be a really great color to mix with a lot of tones. So I'm going to apply my satin clear coat over this original paint that I didn't like, that I painted over, remember? And I see a hair. Let's get that off. Well, I can. Let's go. Okay. So I'm going to apply the satin clear coat. Again, I kind of like to probably overdo it. I like to apply too much, but it's going to dry clear anyways, right? It's always going to be clear. So I'm going to start again on the edge. Excuse my head because I have to look over the corner here. Once it's lined up to my edge, I can gently kind of squish it over. I like to always do this in the middle. I don't know why. It's just a habit maybe. And let's push this paper up. So once you kind of start in the middle, you can push that clear coat to remove any bubbles. You know who's really good at doing decoupage paper is AJ. Amy from AJ's Vintage Designs. If you guys ever need a tutorial on like the perfect, correct way, not the fly by the seat of your pants way that I do it, she's got some really good tutorials, and I'm sure she'll be using the new paper this week as well. If she's not using the new paper, she'll probably be using the new stencil because she's a rock star. But she does some really great tutorials on decoupage, so you can get the best tutorial. Okay, last piece. Remember, we still have this piece over here. It's kind of like the faded out bottom piece. How should we do it? Let's see. Let's cut, I have an idea. I'm going to cut the line. I'm going to go on the edge here and cut this line so that it's, I know this is straight, right? I don't have a ruler. I mean, you could get a measuring tape and a ruler and do this that way. But once again, I don't measure my food, which is probably why I'm not a good cook. I don't iron my clothes. I just do it. I just do it. Do it as I go along, people. All right, so this line, is this line straight? I can't tell if my line is straight. It doesn't feel straight. It's not straight. Okay, so I'm gonna have to cut this line too. Let me just cut this. Let's score it and then cut it. And then at least I know it's straight if I score it, right? Because I still have enough room to take this all the way to the bottom. Oh gosh, y'all, this might like actually barely fit. It might actually be a little bit too short. I might have to use, I think anybody would know if I just took a little bit of the edging and added it over top. I'm gonna go with probably not. Okay, so I'm gonna redo this. I'm gonna push this up. I'm gonna make myself a new line because even though I said I cut it straight, I'm gonna have to go as close to this edge as possible. The same with over here. So let's just cut the bottom. We're gonna go right along the edge because I think it's just like a little bit too small, like not even 1 centimeter. So we're gonna split that between the top and the bottom so you won't be able to tell, especially when I paint it in. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, now let's look. There. So you can't even tell. Can't even tell. So let's make a new line. Let's get out my pencil. Do it this way with the pencil so that I know what I'm doing today. And then I'll use the excess amounts to fill in the blanks if I have any spots where I feel like I need to touch it up. There. 2 lines. Cut some paper. And stick it on. So what do we think? Have you guys had a chance to check out the new release items on the Dixie Belle Paint page? They're available at your local retailer starting today. They can order them and have them at the store. It's just for you. And then they will be available to everybody online on the first week of March. So make sure you reach out to your local Dixie Belle retailer. If you don't know who your local Dixie Belle retailer is. If you go to www.dixiebellepaint.com, you're able to go right there at the top and say find a retailer, type in your zip code, or if you're around the world anywhere else, you can easily do it there, and then you're able to find your local retailer. Look at that. Look at that cuteness. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Okay, let's stick it on. So I'm going to use my clear coat, and I'm going to clear coat this entire section. Remembering that I just cut this paper and it's technically 1/2 of a centimeter too small. So we're going to space it out, because see how this line sits up? If I gently bring it down a little bit, it's going to be like the perfect amount of, you won't be able to tell. And that's the way we like it. So I'm going over top of this original pink that I did that I don't like. She's not my fave. I much prefer this beautiful terracotta. We're going to come back up here. And we're going to, am I upside down? There is words on here, even if they are in another language. You can see there's like a date up here. I don't want to flip it upside down. I want it to be like right in the middle. I'm going to go a little bit closer to the edge. Come on. Don't fight with me now. I'm going to smooth down and see where we're at. Okay, perfect. I think that's going to work. So I'm bringing over my clear coat. I'm going to start in the middle and kind of brush it down smooth. Push down those edges. Kind of hard on a curved surface to do this, no joke, but we managed. Push out those little bubbles, push up those lines, smooth them all the way to the edge. Perfect, 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 perfect. Once again, smoothing out, making sure those air bubbles are all gone. And here's the deal, I don't mind the little wrinklies. I prefer them, to be honest. So if you're not a wrinkle fan, you can iron your paper first to make sure that it's nice and smooth. And you can also look at Amy from AJ's Vintage Designs, who likes to put her paper on absolutely perfect. But I am more of a rustic gal at heart. Okay, dun dun dun, that is the back. What do we think? So let's turn it back around and see what we got going so far. So we have this beautiful paint base, right? The paint base of Dixie Belle's Apricot, as well as Lemonade, and a little touch of Terracotta. Now that this is getting dry, so cute, so cute. So I think what I'm going to have to do is wait for this to dry. Because I'm heavy-handed with the clear coat, I want this to be dry so that when I come in and blend my edges in, I'm not going to tear any paper. Because it is still tissue paper, it's still pretty fragile. Like, I don't think I really want to be messing around with pushing it and smearing it with wet paint too much. Like, I feel like I definitely want to get that dried in. So I'm just going to double coat my satin clear coat to get that on there. Then once this gets dry, what I'm going to do is come back in with the apricot and really seal that pretty little edge in. I think I want to blend it a little bit more so that when I actually do my edges with that foil, it's going to look a little bit more worn out. I think I want more of a worn edge. See how I need to put a little bit more clear coat up here in this section. I don't know why I like to use my fingers so much, but I really do. I actually think I want to pull this edge out. Can I pull it out? Probably not, huh? I've already sealed it down. Let's see if we can do it. Sorry, I'm talking to myself like I usually do. There, that's better. It's just that I felt like the edge didn't have enough clear coat under it, and I really want it to grab. So since the clear coat dries clear, obviously it doesn't matter if I am heavy on the clear coat. What do we think? Super cute, right? Super cute.